Hello everybody, it's the Sofa Stitcher, aka Melanie. I want to welcome you to my channel if you're new, and I want to thank you for coming back if you're returning. This video is going to be fairly short, only because I didn't really stitch on a lot of projects. I stitched a lot on a few projects. So, life update really quick. Everybody's doing great like always. We're not giving in to the panic. We did our normal weekly grocery shopping. We only got what we need, and we hurried up and got out the store so we could get home and get away from the madness. As far as work, we all are supposed to report to work as normal. My son is the only one that so far has been affected. His job has shut down until the beginning of April, and his school has shut down, so all of his classes now are online. So other than that, we're just still kicking and sticking like we've been. We only took what we needed, and we're just doing our thing. So let's talk about the reason why you're here, which is stitching. As I said to you, I've only stitched on a few projects, but I've stitched on them a lot. I did have some March Madness plans, which you saw in my last video, and they went totally right out the window. I didn't stick to not one thing. I woke up and I had a feeling or desire to stitch on certain pieces, and those are the pieces that I stitched on. I do have a finish. If you followed me on Instagram, or you're in my group Sofa Stitching, or you're a part of What Whip, you would have seen it. And this is by Good Housewife, and it's called Never Enough Time. And I just did this on a piece of 32 count linen that I had in my stash, and I used DMC 3031, and I used a Victorian motto thread, and I cannot remember the green color. I'm sorry. Let's see. I might be able to find that color. I did. I found it. The color that I used for it was called Autumn Green, and this is what it looked like. So that's the color that I used for the pieces of time in between the words. That box is just my green and brown, but it looks like I'm going to have to go get some more photo boxes because they're overflowing with my threads. I separate them by color. Put two colors in each box, and they're starting to overflow, so I'm gonna have to make a trip to Michael's probably today and get some more boxes, because I just got a notification that my threads got shipped out. So besides the finish, I just want to give a couple shout outs. I've never really done this before, and I don't do it because, and quite frankly, I love all Flosstubers. There's not one better than the other. You guys are just amazing. I love all of your work, but I just want to give a shout out to a few for specific reasons, and I'll tell you why. So the first one that I have really come to love and adore, not in a creepy sense, just chill out, is Handwork Maniac. She is very soft-spoken. She's a math teacher, and her work is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. And when I say that certain floss tubers appeal to me at a certain time, is because it depends on my mood. And sometimes when I get off of work and I'm really stressed out and I'm just going through some different things, I want to watch someone that's soft-spoken, not a lot of noise in the background, just that can kind of push me through that funk, you know. As you guys know, I'm not one to care if your kids cry. I don't care if you slurp your coffee. I don't care about the crinkle. generally. But if I'm going through something and I just want a soft-spoken person who just gets straight to the point, that's the one that I go to. Her work is just, it is phenomenal. I mean, some of the stitchers on Flosstube, their work is just absolutely phenomenal. And I want to also give a shout out to Stitching with Reese and Nicole's Needlework. Watching them is driving me and pushing me to wanting to be a part of the sampler community for real. Like spending money on the silks and working on them, but recognizing they're going to take years to get done. I mean, they are really, really encouraging me and pushing me towards that. I also want to give a shout out to Country Stitchers, Joyful Stitcher. They are amazing too. I love Deb and Liz's, you know, just their friendship, their bond. It is awesome to see friends and daughters and moms come together, and even some husband and wives come together for their stitching. And it's fantastic. I love it. But then one that I really want to give a shout out to is Married with Stitchers, because they are interracial, LGBT couple, and that just speaks to home so much. And I love the fact that they're out here representing us, representing me, representing my craft and our craft, excuse me. And I love it. I absolutely love it. They are funny, they're hilarious, and just awesome, so I just wanted to give a couple shout outs, because I normally don't do that, because again, like I said, I think everybody who has enough guts to get up and show their face on camera and to show what they're working with is absolutely phenomenal in my book. So I don't rate or I don't do clicks for Flosstube. I watch whoever, whenever, unless a mood, you know, I get in a mood, and then I'll switch it up. But for the most part, I'm down with everybody. So like I said, this video is going to be short. So let me show you what I've been working on. So this whip has sat on this shelf for a long time, and it's one of those border pieces. I don't know about you, but I'm one of those stitchers that if I have to, if a border comes in the piece, I have to stitch the border first. And then that's why it gets put on the shelf for a long time, because then I get tired of stitching the border. But I want to stitch the border because I want to make sure that everything lines up before I start filling it in, and then something's not right and I have to frog and rip things out. So what I'm referring to is Heart of America by Little House Needleworks. I've had this one for quite some time. The cool thing is it's a kit. In a sense of, it comes with all the threads, and it comes with just button company pack. And I got this at my local needlework store, and you guys know that my favorite designers are Little House Needleworks and Shannon Christine Designs, hands down my favorite designers. I did not get into any of the market hype. Nothing really spoke to me. Nothing really spoke to me to where I just felt like I needed to sell my soul to get it right then and there. So I'm just going to kind of wait till it hits 1, 2, 3, my local needlework shop. I'll take a look then, see if anything strikes my fancy. But at this particular moment, nothing really spoke to me, so I didn't do any pre-ordering or anything. But moving along with this one, so I finished the border on this one. So now I can start filling it in. And this is on a piece of 30 count Old Salem by Primitive Hair. I can't remember. It might be Old Salem Village. Maybe not. Old Salem something by Primitive Hair. And let me tell you about her fabric. It is phenomenal. When she mails it to you, it has this cinnamon wood smoke smell to it, and it is awesome. And I have another piece in my office or in my craft room that I will not open up unless it is a very special project, because once you stitch on it, it's gone, honey. And I'm getting to the point, I don't mind purchasing stuff, but I'm tired of waiting for stuff in the mail. So if it's a PDF, if it comes in PDF form, I get it by PDF. If I can't go to my local needle workshop and pick it up, then I banter back and forth for several days. Do I really want this? Do I really want this? Because I don't like waiting for stuff. And you know, international shipping, you have to wait. So I haven't bought anything from her in a long while if it's not in PDF form. The next one that I've been working on, that's been sitting for a while, is Sunflower Farm. And I do not know how to pronounce her name, and so I'm not even going to sit here and butcher it. So that's what it looks like. And this is where I am. Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? And I am just stitching this over one on a piece of 28 count even weave, and it's coffee and tea dye. And it just simply calls for all DMC, nothing fancy. So I stitched on that one. The next one I stitched on, dude, this, listen, this has been sitting for many years, okay? I think this came out, it doesn't even have the date on it. I don't remember. Maybe 2014, 2015. It's called Through the Stars Zodiac Sampler by Cloud Factory. I don't even, you know, when I shake my head, I'm about to just tell you something. I don't have to tell you. Just jacked up. Just jacked all the way up. This is where it's at. And I know you're going to look at it and say, the fabric is pretty, you're doing a really good job, and all the wonderful things Flosstubers say, Stitchers say. And I appreciate that, and I thank you. But this is the reason why I try to stitch the border first to make sure everything lines up. Because the borders are not lining up like they're supposed to. So now what I have to do is go through every little, I have to go through every bubble, you want to say, and fudge it. Every single one. Let me show you this pattern again, just in case you didn't see it. You see how big this thing is? And I have to go through every single one, and I'm going to have to fudge it to make it fit like it's supposed to. And you want to know how off I am? I'm off by one. And normally I will go back through, I don't care what it is, where I'm at, and pull it all out if I'm off by one and fix it. But old age spread has set in my mind, and I'm not unpicking that thing just to fix one. So I just simply have to take it bubble by bubble and just fudge it to make it work. That's what I'm gonna have to do. Just take it bubble by bubble and make it work. And this is also can tell you how old this is, because this was back in the day when I first started learning stitching, and you put tape on the edge of your Ada to stop it from fraying. I don't do that anymore because I rarely stitch on Ada, but I like 18 count, and that's what this is, and it's hand dyed by me, ice hand dyed, pink and red or something, or pink and dark pink. So as a matter of fact, when I get finished this video, I'm going to pull this out so I can keep working on it, just to make significant progress on it. And I am using all of the called for. There's some specialty weeks that you use. And then also there is the DMC rayon floss. And believe it or not, it's not giving me any trouble. I mean, yeah, it'll slip out of my needle every now and then, but for the most part, it's not giving me any trouble, and I'm using it. And that's literally all that I worked on. That's it. Those things. So let me just show you a little bit of haul. I have been wanting this and wanting this and wanting this since I first saw it. And it is called Snort Stack by Plum Street Sampler. And I'm debating, I'm going back and forth, you know, whether or not I really want to spend the money on the specialty threads. But then I'm looking and I'm like, there's just no way I can use DMC because the variation in the pigs is phenomenal. So I think what I'm going to do is just stop being a penny pincher and just go ahead and get the threads. I mean, do you ever get like that sometimes where you just like, you have the money and the money's not the issue, but you're just like, I just don't want to buy another thing, dude. Like, not one more thing. If I have to buy another thing, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm just not buying. If it really isn't screaming to me, it's staying where it's at. Now, this did scream to me, and I purchased this. This is lit. I love this. And this is called, I don't know, because it's a Russian pattern. Let me see. Yeah, and it doesn't say in English what it is. But I had to get this. Do you see the raven in those apples? That lantern here? I had to. I just had to. But the problem is, I can't start this one right away because I'm not finding a fabric that's really calling it to me and that's pairing with that pattern like oomph. Like when I look at it, look at the pattern, I'm like, okay, I need some type of olive green background. And so I went trying to find an olive green dye. You have to make it, or I did find one on Amazon. I'm wrong. I did find one. But I thought this would be good. But to be honest with you, I'm just not impressed with the way the white stitches are laying. And there is a lot of white. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just getting that green, that olive green dye, grabbing a piece of even weave, because I love stitching on even weave, and going for what I know. But in all honesty, that is all that I have for today. Not a whole lot. So I hope you guys just keep on stitching, keep doing your thing, keep being positive, and keep infecting America with love and happiness. And we'll talk again soon. Have a great day.